when smart meters and electrical appliances can coordinate energy consumption and ensure efficient use. Now, when I finally touch upon the quality education before I conclude, I wish to speak on the goal that is closest to my heart, quality education. It's my vision that every youth should be aware of all the educational options, whether they are general education, higher education, or vocational education, which is available to him or her, and have the access to pursue education of his or her choice at an affordable cost without having to relocate. The same principle we are talking about health, affordable health for all, or for all, or a pediatric cardiac care super specialty hospital we are trying to build here, which will be affordable care to every single needy patient. Essentially, no child will be left untreated, irrespective of the economic strata they come from. Everyone should have the opportunity to realize their potential fully without any baggage of negative perception associated with vocational skills. Vocational education and skill development should be considered as mainstream and absolutely on par with general education, leading to a satisfying, recognized job and sustainable livelihood. The government is taking tremendous efforts with initiatives like the Skill India, the National Skill Development Agency and Skill Development Corporation, and of course, a dedicated ministry has been set up for skill development and vocational education. However, it's also an equal responsibility of the corporates to participate with government, since they are the ultimate beneficiaries of the skilled and educated workforce. I think I want to leave you reflecting on the following questions with regard to the work you are doing or the organization that you run or as an alumni. Are you doing something to help improve the health and well-being of the people at large? Because in India, everything is a scale problem. Anything you touch, the number of children with infant mortality, children with physical disabilities, children with capabilities, cognition capabilities, school dropouts, whether it's 8th, 9th, 10th, or the college dropouts. I think the number of scale problems we have is absolutely immense. And a collaborative technology interventions, affordable, and how to address scale through a collaboration becomes very, very necessary. Second, are we ensuring efficient use of natural resources with zero wastage and zero byproducts or emissions? Which means we talk about land, energy, environment, waste, carbon. All of these must be measured in addition to the profit and loss, which are the sustainability goals, and published transparently, because any good corporation where economic and environmental benefits are together, one can publish it. They are not at the opposite ends of the spectrum. Third, are you ensuring that the environment at large, including plant and animal life, is not impacted adversely by your work? Again, a question of coexistence. Again, a question of we are not alone in this planet, and we have to appreciate nature at its best. And what are we doing as a corporation, as an individual, or as a society? If you are doing all of these things, then all of us are truly contributing towards making this earth a great place to live in for generations to come, because we owe it to the next generation and the subsequent generations unconditionally. So essentially what I am saying is, the time to act is now, and we cannot afford to lose even a minute in what we believe, what we want to do, what we want to achieve. And the opportunity is very much there, and economics and ecology can coexist together. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I think I'll respond to some of these questions which have come, where Professor Amal Roy wants to know about the safety and security measures, what India should do in that direction. I should have touched upon that, but it's one of those, again, an agenda topics that is very, very close to my heart, namely the cyber security. With the kind of technology that is being incorporated and the vulnerability we are putting our critical infrastructure into, whether it's civilian or defense, is extremely high. What we see in the US elections, what we have seen in countries like Estonia what we have seen in our own infrastructure being penetrated, whether they're the banks, healthcare data, government data, or whatever, it's for real and we cannot afford to ignore that anymore. So we have produced a white paper which is essentially saying that what is essentially a cyber threat, what is essentially a cyber security, and how do we start sensitizing our children at the school level, because a curriculum which sensitizes the kids from the school level, because we start using mobile phones or gadgets, whether they are iPods, iPads, whatever it is, at that level are smartphones. I think that a curriculum which carries through to the vocational stream or to the general education and ultimately specialist in the cyber area, and as a cadre, a specific cyber security cadre needs to be produced. We cannot operate with a 1.2, 1.3 billion population at a subscale level and a formalized process of cyber security and integrating with every single part of corporate, schools, colleges, etc., must be put in place. That's what we are trying to see, and this becomes extremely important. I think sustainable and policy formulation or available implementation is really lacking because of zero effort for moral education in a structured form. It's necessary to emphasize on this. This is from Mr. Vishnupada Bhattacharya. I think implementation has been the serious problem in this country. Implementation, which means accountability for implementation, is very much needed. Implementation is always seen as a blue-collar job, and implementation is something which we have grown up with as part of the Tata Group, as part of TCS. And that's what gives you the strength to tackle any problem, and at scale level, because our country, like I said, operates at scale level. I think implementation must be made mandatory. Implementation experience in the operations will only take you to folding up your hands and doing what is right. I think implementation has to be repeatedly emphasized at all the organizations, all the projects, all the programs, but more importantly, implementation measurement is the key, because a continuous opportunity for improvement, continuous measurement is what takes implementation to the next level. Even on the skills, one of the things we have been pushing is the sphere of influence has shifted, the state's policy is there, whether it's health, whether it is skills, whether it is education, implementation goes to be the key, and corporate is the same thing. I think sustainability in the gene of Indian companies, like I said, 71% of the corporates are looking at sustainability. This is from Mr. Devdutt Bose. And what actions are being taken by Skill India Mission to bridge huge in people skill in sustainable infrastructure development. Like I said, there are about 40 sector skill councils, of which Green Council, infrastructure, health, construction, every one of those sectors have been mapped. And the private sector is feeding into the curriculum and the certification and assessment mechanisms to make sure that is understood. So long as we practice it on the ground by way of implementation, competency building and competency measurement and competency with the right wage will become a reality, and that's the supply to demand mismanagement, or supply to demand management has to be there, and the asymmetry of information has to be addressed. And with telecommunications backbone, that's certainly possible. Presently, the GDP has been brought down to 6.6 by IMF and World Bank from 7.6% optimistic forecast. How do you believe sustainable economic growth, development in next 1 year time? This is from Mr. Mainak Mukherjee. I think the key thing is, how do you take the action and implementation at the village level, at the district level, at the panchayat level or the block level, and create sustainable development at the local level before it transforms into a country level. We cannot be making policies in Delhi and then expecting people to follow, because a lot of knowledge exists at the rural India. And how do you get that knowledge encapsulated? How that knowledge is translating into a technology-based inventions at the local level, interventions at the local level, which are affordable, like I said. You are not touched upon any favorable consideration for sustainable development on energy field, such as power industry or pressure vessel fabrication technology, development sustainable growth for emerging markets as duplex for present day application. I think every sector has to bring its capabilities with technology, and we must address, like I said, the scale problem at our level. The power industry is going through a complete transformation with regard to generation, distribution and consumption. Whether at a captive local level or at a very confined area, or ultimately feeding into the ground, into the grid what you generate. There are multiple ways of doing this, and the country is experimenting with all of this, including building some of the largest solar farms which have ever been imagined. I think there are enough jobs if people who are in these sectors look at very different model of creating jobs, like I said, across the hinterland and across. A job or a way we operate in a large state like Maharashtra cannot be replicated automatically. 80% may be replicable, 50% may be replicable, but there are local things. What you do in the northeast is very different from what you do in J&K. What you do in J&K is very different from what you do in Maharashtra, or what you do in Mumbai is very different from what you do in Nasik or Aurangabad. And these sensitivities and these understanding is the core of what we do and how we conduct ourselves. That's why the startups, the entrepreneurial culture, and creating a local sustainable living model is going to be very fundamental for a nation like ours. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity today.
Thank you so much, Honorable Sir, for that brilliant address covering so many relevant areas. Ladies and gentlemen, you will know now why I enjoyed reading out that long biodata, although I know Mr. Ramdure would have liked me to cut it short, but he deserves every bit of it in just one lecture. See the number of things that he covered for all of us to think about, mainly being that economic progress should be balanced by ecological awareness. He touched upon energy from waste, zero waste industries, talked about the paper instruments being made for medical diagnostics, about the need for clean water in remote areas, affordable energy, affordable health, affordable education, and more importantly, for every youth to have the potential, not just to have the potential, but also the opportunity to realize his or her individual potential, and the accountability of corporates in implementation. And most of all, by telling all of us to remember that we must embrace nature and the cyclical rhythms that go on endlessly, bringing order and symmetry. We are products of nature, and we should remember that. Thank you so much, sir. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a much needed break for tea. We will be back in 30 minutes. And then we will start the first forum of the panel discussions. Time for tea. After that refreshing, and I should add, heartwarming tea break, which has certainly served to up the temperature in this slightly chilly zone. Welcome back to the first forum of the day, ladies and gentlemen. The forum is called People, and the moderator for this session is Sri Ramani Iyer, a JU alumnus with multidisciplinary expertise in the telecom sector. I request our volunteer, Sri Grinmoy Godai, JU alumnus 2016 batch with a PhD in chemistry, to felicitate Sri Ramani Iyer with a bouquet and a memento. Grinmoy, please escort Sri Iyer to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Sri Ramani Iyer has handled many important assignments for the Department of Telecommunications for over 35 years and served as a director on the MTNL board. He's a fellow of the Electronics and Telecommunication Institute of Engineers. Sri Ramani Iyer's services were lent to the United Nations for his expertise in digital communication. For a telecom project in Africa, he's been on several committees for formulating detailed specifications of equipment for the telecom network. Sri Sri Iyer is on the visiting faculty of several academic institutions and actively associated with TETRA and CAS projects in India. He's also been involved in preparing a detailed report for a major project in Bhutan. Please put your hands together for the moderator of Forum 1, People, Sri Ramani Iyer. I now request Mrinmoy to offer a floral tribute and memento and escort to the stage Dr. Sister Ananda Amrit Mahal, an eminent literature, principal of Sophia College for Women, and a most worthy panelist of our forum. Kindly escort her to the stage, Mrinmoy. Ladies and gentlemen, awarded the Fulbright Teaching Fellowship as a visiting lecturer at the Loyola University, Chicago, and also a Gannon Visiting Research Scholar at Loyola in the spring of 2012, Dr. Ananda Amrit Mahal is also the coordinator of the Sophia Center for Women's Studies and Development. Women's writing, feminist literary criticism, and Indian writing in English are Sister Ananda's areas of specialization, while women mystic poets, children's literature, and the place of myth and fantasy in shaping our responses to life are her other areas of interest. Winner of the Savitri Phule Adarsha Shikshika, meaning Exemplary Teacher Award for her contribution to women's education and empowerment. Dr. Sister Ananda is the author of Relatedness and Resistance, a feminist critical analysis of some Indian women writers. Let's hear it for this epitome of India's woman power, Sister Ananda Amrit Mahal. Shri Mrinmoy Godai will now felicitate and escort our second participant in Forum 1, Shri K.P. Bakshi, retired IAS officer of the Maharashtra Cadre. Kindly escort him to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, a B.Tech from IIT Kharagpur and an MBA with distinction from the Hull University, England, Shri Bakshi has served in several important posts as a collector, B District, Joint MD, CIDCO Navi Mumbai, Municipal Commissioner Thane, and Additional Chief Secretary, Home Department, Maharashtra. An anti-cybercrime expert, ladies and gentlemen, Shri Bakshi has set up anti-cybercrime cells in 43 districts and police commissarates in a record 21 days' time. Go on, here. Thank you. Setting up cyber police stations and the crime, criminal tracking and network systems in Maharashtra are two of the firsts in the country. Pro sport, Shri Bakshi has also represented Andhra Pradesh in the All India Civil Services Badminton Tournament. It's over now to our People's Man Forum moderator, Shri Ramani Iyer, to initiate the session called People. Shri Ramani Iyer.
Thank you, Mrs. Karmali. Sister Ananda, Mr. Bakshi. This is the first forum. The way the forum has been designed is the three pillars that we have, namely the social, the environmental, and the economic. Each one will be discussed in one forum. The first forum is on social effects or the goals relating to society. As we all know, after 3 long years of consultations, 193 countries agreed on the new SDG goals, which call for several breakthroughs by the year 2030, including the end of extreme poverty, which is SDG 1 you are seeing on the screen, hunger, universal health coverage, universal secondary education, gender parity, establish institutions to ensure peace and stability, and the last one is to include partnerships across the institutions and countries. To many, these goals will seem utopian. They are definitely challenging goals that will require a a transformation of the world and bring about the social well-being. Although the Venn diagram that you see on the screen depicts the different SDGs and targets into three broad pillars, but these are not independent of one another. The social pillar refers to, in broad terms, the public policies that support social issues. These social issues relate to our well-being and include aspects like healthcare, education, housing, employment, and so on. They ensure that individuals do have access to social services, do not suffer through lack of knowledge of the rights and privileges, and exercise a responsible influence on the development of social policies in the service of the nation. Several attempts have been made to define the social, economic, and environmental boundaries of the SDGs, but none of these definitions seem to be a perfect fit. A recent approach suggests that all the domains of sustainability are social in nature, including